Okay, for today, let's talk about policy making for businesses and the importance of a code of ethics. Okay. So what are policies? By definition, policies are guidelines set by the company to establish order and uniformity in the systems of the business. So it's a guideline so that in your business, there is some sort of established order, established uniform guidelines that employees follow so that they know what to do in certain situation. It impresses the needs for employees to act in the proper way and to maintain the professional relationship expected between employees and clients. Okay? So it helps your employees know how they should treat a client or treat their fellow employees, treat their other stakeholders in the business. If you would recall, professionalism is very important in corporate culture, and to be professional, it helps to have policies and guidelines set in place. So what is a code of ethics? First, a code of ethics are policies of a business that are based on principles and practices. So this code of ethics is based on the principles of the company, what the people who run the company believe in. So it could be everyone gets paid vacation days, everyone should be paid this amount of money. These are principles that the owners believe, and practices which they follow inside the company. The key aspect to a code of ethics is to address both the particular nuances of the company's industry as well as the broader goals for social responsibility. So there are nuances within the company's industries, very specific things that you do within a certain industry. For example, in fast food, you have to be able to come up with cheap products that you can release to the public very quickly. But then, you can't forget that you also have the broader goals for taking care of different stakeholders in the community. You have a social responsibility to them. Okay? And a code of ethics is enforcing policies is the guiding factor of using a code of ethics. So you have to be able to enforce the policies within your own businesses. Okay, so let me move myself a little bit here. So steps in creating a code of ethics is there are 6 steps. First one is you set priorities, you get input, you accept mistakes, you identify risk area, you consult, and you identify leaders. So let's go through each one. So the first one, when you're talking about setting priorities, these are priorities would be able to guide you to the proper behavior of the company. So what are you trying to prioritize within your company? Is it employee welfare, client satisfaction, profit? These things, by setting your priorities, these things will help set the tone and of expected professionalism. So if, for example, if your priority is employee welfare, it will set the tone that you have to respect the employee's personal space, vacation days, paid leaves. These are the things that you will immediately respond to. Next is you get input. You involve different sectors of the business to show the necessity of communication. So you talk to HR, for example. You talk to marketing. You talk to sales. Okay? So you involve different aspects of the business to be able to set policies and guidelines that will work for everyone. So for example, you're reviewing work from home guidelines. So you consult every department to be able for them to give their feedback to you, and then it helps you improve the process of, let's say, the new policy for working from home or a policy on sexual harassment. If you involve different sectors, they may have different feedbacks or inputs that may be useful in coming up with policies or guidelines. Next, you have to accept mistakes. The nature of business is a work in progress. Policies from before are not applicable to us now, and at the same time, our policies now may not be very applicable 5-10 years from now. Okay? Even though there are some policies that fall short of what the values or the principles of the time are, that's the reason why we have to keep re-evaluating and we learn from the mistakes. If there's, for example, a sexual harassment incident happens, we learn from that incident and we accept that it happened and we work towards making sure that it doesn't happen again or we're able to mitigate the risk. Fourth one is you identify risk areas. When you create new policies, you identify what areas may have a potential risk. Okay? A code of ethics acts as a risk mitigation. It helps you avoid certain incidents in the business. For example, sexual harassment, A code of ethics will help you avoid incidents of sexual harassment because you're able to identify that this is a danger area. Okay? For example, we're online learning now. There are certain things that we identified as risk areas. For example, very close contact with students. Okay, so we have a code of ethics or principles that we follow so that we don't overstep our boundaries in dealing with students such as you guys. First is you consult. Of course, it's very helpful aside from when you're creating a code of ethics, aside from getting input from different departments involved, you can consult with senior leaders. Okay, look for advice from people who've been through the same situation. Go outside your business, consult with consultancy firms, people who are trained to deal with these types of situations. One of the more lucrative careers is usually business consultants or financial consultants. They advise these companies, they give trainings, they give seminars, they give advice on how the company can be able to deal with the problems they are facing. Okay, an example is I had an old professor who would his job is to help fix organizational issues. So it could be teammates not working well together, the company suffering from bad organization. His job was to consult with different departments and to help them organize themselves and come up with certain policies that will help them. The last one is you identify potential leaders. Okay, when you have a code of policies, one of the things that you have to do is, or a code of ethics, I'm sorry, is you have to be able to enforce them. And then a leader is needed for them to be able to enforce these guidelines properly and effectively. Okay, you can't just enforce a policy or enforce a set of code of ethics without expecting some people to get displeased or to have questions, and you need a leader or a potential leader to mitigate these things, to handle questions, to explain what to do, how to act, how to implement the policies, and things like this. You need a person, a human leader, to help you with these things. A book will not be able to do that for you. So a business needs to adhere to its code of ethics and policies in order to achieve its business goals. The code of ethics and policies are created with the thought that it will make achieving the business goals easier and more efficiently. Again, it's made, your code of ethics and your policies are made so that you're able to establish uniformity and order within the business. And for businesses, if you have uniformity and order, it's usually a more efficient way of running the business. Okay, so thank you for that, and I hope you've learned something.